And so to see that woman get lost and find herself again and get lost again, like that to me was really compelling and exciting. I mean, to me, it felt so clear and so obvious who Lily should be, but I also felt deeply protective of her from the moment that I read her story, that like if she was interpreted in any other way other than how I saw her, that would have been very upsetting to me as a fan, as an audience member, which I imagine is how all fans feel. It was just important to me to show a woman of multitudes, to show a woman.
I think that like Baz Luhrmann and I are probably the two people who love romance more than anyone ever. Like I see fireworks, and I realize it's probably, you know, visions of fireworks, but like that's how I just love romance. So Colleen.
Yeah. So like he's the king, you're the queen.
Oh wow, my gosh, thank you. I think my Ryan, the king, he's so romantic.
Is he?
The stare, Gosling's got that stare thing for sure. He does that stare
So
thing.
you're also not voting for my Ryan?
Well, I think Ryan is incredibly romantic. By the I mean, the way he wines and dines me.
Hi friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. There's been a lot of discussion about It Ends With Us. And there's this one moment in time when Blake delays filming in November of 2023. And this is when the whole 17-point discussion of all the things that she needs on the set and everything needs to be negotiated and all of her demands need to be met or she's not coming back to film. And it occurs on November 9th. They get this letter. And I often wondered, why on November 9th did they send this letter? Why was it suddenly on November 9th they had to get these demands met after there had been this long period of time between when filming had been stopped due to the strike and then when it resumed, when there wasn't tension between them at all. There was no fighting. There was no resistance. She had wanted to see some cuts of the film and footage. And the last time she had asked, Baldoni said no, he wasn't going to go and bring the footage to her. But I wondered, why on November 9th, after not having any issues, did she suddenly send this email that says, like, I'm not coming back to work unless you do this, when there was no indication that they were having any issues to begin with? Nothing. I think I found an answer. And it's really going to maybe surprise you, but not surprise you. Or maybe you shouldn't be surprised. I don't know. But the answer has to do with filming schedules. And it's because on November 9th, Ryan Reynolds announced that Deadpool would begin filming again. And they were planning to resume filming right before Thanksgiving in 2023. And filming would resume in the UK. Most of Deadpool was filmed in the UK and then in Vancouver. There was some that was done here in the United States, but it was primarily filmed in the UK and in Vancouver. The last part of filming for Deadpool commenced and ended in the UK. So Ryan, his film, Deadpool 3, which had been delayed as well due to the strike, was going to be filming from November 23rd until January 24th in England, in the UK. The announcement that filming would resume came out on November 9th, the same exact day that Blake Lively sent that letter of demands to Wayfair. Before they ever even started filming, Ryan was about to start production on Deadpool 3, and Blake took this job as well. And they were going to be filming at the same time, meaning they wouldn't be together. And this really, really bothered Ryan. He did not want to be split up at all. And Justin made the unusual step to contact Ryan to let him know that he would make sure to try to get Blake back to him a few days earlier than normal. I thought it was unusual that a director of a film would contact the husband of the actress to make sure that he's reinforcing to the husband that he's going to get his wife back to him as soon as possible. And he lets him know this. And Ryan says, and thank you for understanding what it means to me personally to have my family reunited as soon as possible. Nothing means more to her either. I can promise you. We're hardwired for keeping our family together. It's how to win us, and it's also how to kill us when we can't. We never split up, ever. It was a huge thing for us on this film. I tried to push our start date, but Marvel booked studios last July and timing was leaked. I've been frantically smashing out my third pass of the script to address structural changes, but mostly to get our budget down and shorten the shoot so I can fly back with the girls when school starts. We see and appreciate that you have already moved significantly to make it work with her schedule because of the film she'd already committed to, which thankfully she was able to gracefully punt. She tried before but didn't share how hard. All this to say, I'd have your line producer's face tattooed to my perineum if he or she or they can figure out how to start 2 weeks earlier. Completely understand how big of an ask that is, but the perineum is one of the most nervy parts of the human body to expose to trauma. So, looking forward to seeing you and thank you again for all you're doing. So, he's admitting to them that they are so apprehensive to do these two films at the same time because they're not going to be together because he wants his family together. And a lot of the issues on the set with not allowing her to be in a room by herself with another man without someone else there, like she needs a third party to be the chaperone, screams jealous husband to me. And I think his lack of being able to be there and to control the situation is really at the heart of part of this. Like we know they have motivation to take over this film, but I also believe that on top of this motivation to take over the film, there's motivation to alienate him, but also his jealousy and his not wanting his wife to flirt or to be around any guys by herself because he doesn't trust her, because he doesn't trust himself, because Ryan's a cheater. I know it's hard for some to understand that there can be dueling motives and dueling factors in any given situation, but it definitely appears that his jealousy played a part and he didn't want her away from him. And when he announced on November 9th that filming would resume, her lawyers that day, out of nowhere, send an email and say, "We're not returning to work until you meet these demands." They had already let her team know that filming would resume in November on the 27th. Deadpool was going to be starting on the 23rd, meaning that Ryan would be in the UK and she would be filming in New Jersey. He doesn't want them working at the same time. So Jamie Heath reaches out November 9th and says that they need to get aligned, informing them that production's on the ground in New Jersey, sending them a schedule. And then that's when her attorneys respond back that they have all these different points that are non-negotiable and that insinuate that Baldoni and Heath have been inappropriate. So November 10th, they have to figure out November 10th, they have to figure out how they're going to respond. They're working with Sony on this, trying to figure out what they agree to, what they don't agree to, how they can't agree to certain things, they can't admit to certain things, legally speaking. Then they find out that Lively says she could be available starting on December 5th. But before she would be available, she wants to see the new script pages and a one-liner. They continue to work through this on November 11th. Wayfair Council responds on November 11th, and they tell her, in an effort to keep us on track with finishing the film, I'm writing to address what I understand to be a few things that your client needs moving forward, and namely the one-liner, the pages, and seeing the rough cut of the unfinished movie. We're prepared to send the one-liner and the new pages when you give us the go-ahead, and just need to know the best way to get them to Miss Lively. As for the rough cut, we can offer to show the movie at any screening facility of Miss Lively's choice within the New York area, preferably Company 3, as it's already has the DCP and required nothing further other than the scheduling. And if Miss Lively has a place that works better for her, we will accommodate, but we just need some time to set up. The director is willing to not be present if Miss Lively prefers and would send along any notes to address the missing elements. Miss Lively is most welcome to bring whoever she'd like to the viewing. And so they offer them these concessions. And then 2 days later, Wayfair sends another email and says, "It's come to my attention that Miss Lively may be in London at the moment. I wanted to let you know that Company 3 has a screening facility there. Please let me know if this would be more convenient for your client. We would be glad to arrange the screening there if preferred." She was already in London. Why? Because her husband was going to start filming on the 23rd. They were getting ready to finish Deadpool, and she was with Ryan. The council then on the 13th responds that they're not going to negotiate. It's a set of protection, and they have to sign this regardless. And then on the 15th, they learn that Lively won't be available for November, and they have to rework the schedule to begin in December. They set a new start date of December 11th. By November 20th, they notify that Wayfair and Lively has approved the A-list producer and introduces him to Baldoni and Heath, and they're still trying to get her there by December 11th. Mind you, during this period, Ryan has already started production on Deadpool 3 in the UK. And this is what it says. Despite working round the clock 7th shoot date, Lively was ultimately unavailable, and production was once again rescheduled to start in January. She was unavailable to work because her husband wanted her on the set of Deadpool 3. He just wanted her there. She had to be there. He was like interfering with her contract because he wanted her with him, not working. It's also during this time that I believe is when he decides that he wants her to be in a cameo role and to show up in the film of Deadpool. And this is where he likely decides that he's going to bring in Lady Pool. And this would have been at the same time that they would have been filming the Nice Pool stuff as well. While they're delaying going back to work, Ryan is filming this Deadpool, Nice Pool stuff, and Miss Lively is showing up as Lady Pool and killing Baldoni or Nice Pool in front of a flower shop. I don't believe she was ever supposed to be in the film. I think this was all developed because they were mad at Baldoni or Ryan was mad at him. And it was a way for them to retaliate against him by creating this character. Because I think they like to drop in their little Easter eggs. So he brings her into his project when they didn't, Wayfair had no idea that she was involved in that project in any capacity. So the delays here are like, he wants her at his set, he wants her working for him, but we can't go there. So here are all these reasons why she can't go. He uses that time with her to gain all of this control over the film. And then they finally agree that she'll go back to work in January. And so that's when they do the January 4th meeting. And by this point, they're on January 4th, Ryan and Blake are in New York by this point. She has Ryan at the meeting with her. They do a January 4th meeting at her house, and they say Baldoni Heath, a Sony executive, a producer, and the A-list producer, and the film's first AD at Lively and Reynolds' New York apartment ahead of the scheduled production restart on January 4th, 2024. The team arrived prepared with production binders in hand, eager to kick the next phase of filming. However, Lively had different intentions for the meeting. She began by reading from notes on her phone, outlining a series of alleged infraction from phase 1. Reynolds then berated Baldoni, demanding Baldoni apologize to Lively for actions that either never occurred or had been grossly mischaracterized. Baldoni resisted apologizing for things he had not done, which further enraged Reynolds. Everyone, including the new producer Lively, had requested to join the production, and the Sony representative left the meeting in shock. The new A-list producer remarked that in their 40-year career, they had never seen anyone spoken to in such a manner during a meeting. Later, the Sony representative shared that they often reflected on the meeting and regretted not intervening to stop Reynolds' tirade against her. So they had already agreed to her demands. They had already signed on the demands. And as a part of just getting back to work, they're going to this meeting. But instead of letting bygones be bygones and the set is there, she's reading from a phone. It seems weird that you would read from a phone of a list of demands if you knew what had happened to you. So from January 1st to February 9th, they're back on set, and she says absolutely nothing happens. While she's back on set, She and Ryan are separated for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then Ryan is in post-production with Deadpool 3, and Baldoni goes into post-production on It Ends With Us. And they're doing it at the exact same time. Deadpool 3 is coming out in the summer. They're slated to come out in the summer as well. But a lot of the issues that occurred happened when they were both filming concurrently or they had to be separated. And it seems like the fact that Ryan didn't want her away from him or with Baldoni and wanted Baldoni to be viewed as like a threat, that's the part where I get like he was being a jealous husband. And then him having to be the mediator is unusual to me because as a woman, she should be able to advocate for herself in a meeting. She has agents, she has lawyers, and instead of having agents and lawyers with her, she had Ryan, which is fine, but it's bringing in a personal connection and it's not a legal protection. So he's demanding apologies for things that never happened. And it's very reminiscent of the fact that when he's screaming at him on January 4th, it feels like he's doing this because they're about to go into filming and he's angry about it. And he wants Justin to know that he's the one in control. So when he goes back to filming, they wrap on January 24th and then he returns to New York. She finishes on February 9th. But during that period, nothing bad happens. Nothing. All the shit happens is when Ryan and Blake are together. All of the problems happen when the two of them are together. When they're not together, things on the set are fine. When Ryan is around, things on the set are a mess. Things in her job are a mess. He's creating obstacles. And then I'm assuming at this point, this is when they devise that they're going to take over the film. And it's clear that a lot of these issues around the sexual harassment are designed so that she can get more control because that list of demands has all of the control and all the things that she wants, the producers, control over lines, control over issues. And in one of her demands that she claims she made to them, which is interesting, she put a 30-point demand in her amended complaint. And one of them was that you could no longer ask her to walk across a picketed line. But Ryan walked across picket lines until July 14th. His set did not shut down whatsoever during the writer's strike, even though Ryan was a writer. Ryan worked on Deadpool 3 while the writer's strike was happening. He didn't shut down production until the actors went on strike. So Ryan continued to work on Deadpool 3 as a writer and as an actor, and his set was getting picketed, and he walked across those picket lines. But Blake was telling Baldoni that she couldn't walk across picket lines. When you start to look at the details here, are rules for thee and not for me. Ryan was trying to control things. The sexual harassment claims come up because they're mad. He doesn't want her over there. He wants control of the film. It's twofold. I mean, the man is jealous as hell. He's controlling and possessive. Blake also wants control. This is going to be her big break back out. But it's like, as you start to look at the micro of it instead of looking at the macro, and you look at the details, you start to see how his jealousy and need for power and control really created this shitstorm. Did you know about this? Have any other creators talked about this? Have anyone else noticed? I don't watch a lot of other creators, so I don't know what's been covered. I'm just sharing what I find as I find it. So, what are your thoughts about all of that? Let me know in the comments below. I love hearing all of your comments. I love hearing what you have to say. So, feel free, mention it. Make sure to hit the subscribe button on the way out and give this video a thumbs up. Share the video with your friends. All of that helps me in the algorithm. Thank you so much, guys. Bye, guys.